Hi everybody, it's Bobbie from Fifth Avenue Cakes, and today I'm going to show you how to create a beautiful heirloom English rose. So let's begin. When I work on an English rose, I like to do it in production style, so that I'm doing the centers and then the outside petals. Each of the centers are 5 petals on an individual wire. The first thing you'll need to do is roll out some flower paste that has been pre-colored a light pink. Starting in the middle of your groove board, begin to roll your paste up and then roll it back downwards towards the bottom. You're looking to achieve almost a tissue paper thin piece of flower paste. With the grooves upward, go ahead and cut out at least 5 petals so that you may start with your first wire. As I said, you will have 5 wires inside that will be like your bud, and each of those will have 5 petals on them. With the first petal, you'll need to wire it with a 33 gauge wire about halfway up the petal. Secure it to the wire and ball tool it, put it in a rose binder, and then using a ceramic needle tool, go ahead and add some texture. You will need to go around the petal with the small side of your ball tool. It needs to be heavily frilled. The inside of the rose is extremely frilled. Wrap the petal around itself. If your paste is still very moist, it will probably stick. However, you might need to use a little bit of egg white at the bottom just to attach it. Only use a little and then let it dry. Once your petal is dry, you're going to want to dust. Each of these petals will need to be dusted in the stages as they go on. I am using plum, a tad of aubergine, and some African violet to create this color. For the second petal, repeat the same process without wiring as you did for the center petal. Remember to frill it heavily. And then go ahead and add a little bit of egg white from the bottom, about 2/3 up. Wrap it around your first petal and be sure to make sure that the top of the petal is higher than the inside petal. You're going to repeat this process 5 times, doing the exact same thing. The only thing you need to be aware of is that each petal should be a tad higher than the preceding petal below it. Once you have these finished and they are dusted, you can go ahead and begin to put them together. I like to lay mine out on a piece of craft foam and use vine green floral tape. Stretch it out to release the glue, and I prefer to add 1 petal at a time to be aware that I don't break any petals. The idea is to create a center. As I said, this is your bud. Or the center part of the flower. Once you have all 5 of your center petals securely on, you can go ahead and cut out the petals that you will need to continue. You're going to want to move 2 sizes up and be sure that the petals come up higher than the inside petals. Put them in between 2 petals and overlap your petals as you go. These petals do not need to be frilled. They do need to be vined in your rose viner. And you will want to add a little bit of movement with the ball tool. I like to pinch them and add just a tad bit of movement to these inner petals. Now you're going to go ahead and dust them. I generally like to dust them while they're still quite wet, but can stand on their own without flopping around. This process will be repeated 5 to 6 times depending on how big you want your rose, and if you choose to add individual wired petals to bring it out real full and large. Remember to add movement to them, but don't frill them as much as those center petals. Now we're going to create the calyx. I have rolled it to about a number 5 on a pasta machine by hand, and using a squash leaf cutter, I'm going to cut out 5 individual pieces for my calyx. I think it looks a little bit more realistic than using a calyx cutter. Put the first leaf on and broaden it out with a small rolling pin. Then, with a piece of 30 gauge wire dipped in egg white, wire your first petal about halfway up. You'll be doing this for all of them. Using a Dresden tool, create a center vine and pinch it to a point. At the same time, you're going to secure it at the bottom to the wire. Now with some spring-form scissors or small scissors, add a few little cuts. Go ahead and dust it. I started with vine green and then layered moss green mixed with foliage green. And then I added a touch of my English rose color to that petal to give it a little bit more depth. Go ahead and secure your calyxes on while they're still pliable, and you can bend them a little bit. It'll also assure that you won't be breaking any calyxes when you add them on if they're still a little bit wet. You'll be adding them on with the floral tape just as you did with the center petals. Now add your rose hip and secure it with just a tad of egg white at the very top where the connection is going to be. Bring down the bottom of that rose hip to your stem so that it appears to be coming out of the stem, like a real flower. And then secure the top with just a normal cocktail stick. At this point, you might want to readjust your calyxes. Once everything dries, you won't be able to do this again. Color your rosehip to match your calyx. And don't forget to add a little bit of that rose color to the rosehip and to the stem of your rose. Thank you so much for watching my video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.